The government of Ethiopia has been locked in a year-long war with the Tigray People's Liberation Front, or the TPLF. And in the latest, Ethiopia has now outlined conditions for the possible talks with the rebels from the country's war-hit Tigray region. This move follows days of diplomatic efforts by the international envoys to avert further surge in the fighting. According to the Foreign Ministry spokesman Dina Mufti, one of the conditions for the possible talks would be for the TPLF to withdraw from the Amhara and Afar regions. Mufti stressed the terms have not been agreed to. As per the ministry spokesperson, there are conditions. First, stop your attacks. Secondly, leave the areas you have entered, that is Amhara and Afar. And third, recognize the legitimacy of this government. He further clarified no decision has been taken to enter into negotiations. But the TPLF spokesman, Getachew Reda, said that pulling out from Amhara and Afar before the talks begin is an absolute non-starter. The paramilitary group is demanding an end to what the UN describes as a de facto humanitarian blockade on Tigray. Hundreds of thousands of people are believed to be living in famine-like conditions in Tigray. No aid has gone by road since the 18th of October. 364 trucks are stuck in the capital of Afar as authorization to proceed is still pending amid the escalating war and growing famine conditions. Last week, the government imposed a nationwide state of emergency. In a fresh wave of mass arrests, some 22 UN staffers were detained in the raids. This has further hampered the aid response. The UN has also sounded the alarm about 72 drivers who have been detained in Afar. The drivers were contracted by the World Food Programme. In recent days, international envoys have stepped up efforts to broker a cessation of the hostilities after the U.S. Special Envoy for the Horn of Africa, Jeffrey Feltman, left Ethiopia on Wednesday. The U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken will travel to Kenya, Nigeria and Senegal next week. Blinken will be meeting with the Kenyan president to discuss issues like the regional security crisis, such as and also issues like Ethiopia, Somalia and Sudan.
And so we are hopeful that given the important work that President Obasanjo is engaged in, the efforts that we're making and others who are engaged, that there is still a window to pull back and to move this to a better place. There is an opportunity, I hope, for everyone to pull back, to sit down, to get a halt to what's happening on the ground, and ultimately to produce a ceasefire, to have access for humanitarian assistance, and over time to negotiate a more durable political resolution.
The Ethiopian military began hitting the Tigray capital with airstrikes on the 18th of October. The arrests came as a further challenge to the humanitarian aid efforts. Billions of people in Tigray badly need aid supplies, including food and medicines. The Ethiopian government describes the arrests as part of a legitimate effort to stamp out the TPLF. Several foreign missions, including the U.S. Embassy and the European Union, have decided to withdraw non-essential staff from Ethiopia. The war in Africa's second most populous country has killed thousands of people and displaced millions. Now the Tigray forces are approaching Ethiopia's capital, Addis Ababa. Our correspondent Coletta Vanjohi sent us this report on the developments from Addis Ababa. Take a look.
What we have is, at least the UN had said, about 7 million people have so far been affected by this conflict over time, over the past year. And within the Tigray region alone, we had about 5.2 million people, according to the UN data. Now, the latest is the UN saying that from October 18th, no aid has, or no assistance has accessed the Tigray region, at least by road. They say they have about over 300 trucks that are in the Afar region, which is a neighboring region to Tigray. And one of the areas that the UN is now using, which seems safe, the UN is using to enter Tigray. They say that about 300 trucks are still stuck there, waiting for clearance, the possible clearance for that aid to go in there. So a delay in aid even in a day for people who really need this, who are really dependent on emergency aid, opens up for more challenges. So yes, the UN is really concerned, and that's why we are seeing probably it putting more effort and saying that ceasefire needs to happen, cessation of hostilities needs to happen, at least for those millions of people who need emergency aid to get this.
WION now available in your country. Download the app now. Get all the news on the move.